Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to the longest running superhero role playing game on Earth. I'm your host, the Game Master, and today we're talking about Aquaman, Batman, The Flash, Green Lantern, the Martian Manhunter, and Superman versus ZHAVAM, an obscure DC villain who was a Shazam analog whose first appearance was Action Comics Volume 1, issue number 351, all the way back in 1967. But before we get into that, smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and leave us a comment. That helps us out with the YouTube algorithm, but also we love hearing from you guys. We have an awesome community here, and it's all thanks to you. So thank you so much for being here. So, all that said, let's dive in. The prologue to today's story takes place in orbit of Earth at the space station that serves as the expansive headquarters for the new Round Table. A fledgling superhero named Killfrost had battled ZHAVAM, but ZHAVAM was invulnerable to any kinetic damage. So Killfrost came here looking for assistance. ZHAVAM got to go first, and he shot a lightning bolt at Superman. Killfrost had been holding action, so he jumped in between the two combatants and he took that damage. And since that was the end of a solo adventure for Brad's character to be in, we ended that game there. Which brings us to this game session. We played this 1 week later, but picked up the exact moment where we had left off, with more players, each one playing a founding member of the Silver Age version of the Justice League of America. Out of the heroes, Superman has the highest initiative, so he gets to go first. On his turn, he spends an automatic action getting to where ZHAVAM is located on the map. Then, for his dice action, he rolls to see if he can steal ZHAVAM's bag of tricks. Superman rolls 2d10 and gets an 8 and a 10 for a grand total of 18. On table 1, we see that is 3 column shifts. So that means that Superman succeeds. And it's worth noting that he has fought ZHAVAM before. And the last time they fought, Superman took his belt then too. But when he did, he pressed one of those runic symbols that we mentioned last game session. And Superman learned that the power that is unleashed by doing so attacks whoever stole the belt, kind of like a weird, mystical version of a security system. So this time, Superman doesn't press any of the buttons. Instead, he flies to the sun with the belt, intending to throw it in. Next to go is the Flash. And unfortunately for Barry Allen, he can substitute his super speed for either his dexterity when trying to land a hit, or he can sub it for how hard he can hit. But he can't do both at once. And the problem with that is that if he can land the hit, then Barry is just too weak to do any damage to an opponent like this. And if he hits hard enough to do damage, then he was too slow to hit the target. So instead of all that, the Flash tries to remove ZHAVAM's metal boots. And since we saw Superman do that in Action Comics number 351, then that lets us know that the boots can be removed by an opponent during combat. To people who do not play the DC Heroes role-playing game, that might sound kind of odd, but there is this rule in DC that if you have some sort of item listed under the equipment section on your character sheet, and that item's name is written in all capital letters, then that means it cannot be removed during combat by an opponent. So for my players, They have ran into this in previous game sessions, and trying to guess whether they can or not is part of the tactical experience of playing the DC Heroes role-playing game. Anyways, so the Flash tries and succeeds. Then, with his remaining automatic action, he runs away with ZHAVAM's boots, which we thought was kind of funny. It reminded us of those old stories about people stealing each other's high tops. But I digress. So the next one to go is the Martian Manhunter, who tries to use a mind blast on ZHAVAM. Jean's idea here is that while ZHAVAM may be physically invulnerable, he's hoping that he will be mentally vulnerable. So Jean rolls the dice, but gets a bad roll and fails this time. For his remaining turn, he sees the piece of kryptonite that covers the enemy's Achilles heel, and he tries to get that off, but he fails. Aquaman is next. He goes for an old-fashioned punch because our Aquaman on Earth K functions more kind of like the Incredible Hulk during combat. Back in the 90s, when Aquaman was the laughing stock of the superhero community, we tried to find a way to make him cool. So we assumed that if he's strong enough to survive the crushing depths of the ocean floor, that meant he needed a crazy high strength and body. So we increased those stats on his character sheet, and they far outweigh anything else he can do. So the Aquaman of Earth K tends to punch through things a lot. So that was the attempt here, but it was a swing and a miss because ZHAVAM has the speed of Mercury while Aquaman does not. As such, Aquaman's dexterity is way lower than the dexterity of ZHAVAM, which means Aquaman can only hit him if he rolls doubles. Nonetheless, that is Aquaman's plan, and he's sticking to it. Next up is Batman, who subs 2 Omni gadgets for spirit travel usable on others. The idea is that this represents that he and Killfrost are now out of phase with everyone else, so that Batman can roll versus his medical skill to use first aid on Killfrost to heal him since he's down. So those two are doing that for the rest of the game. Finally, Green Lantern gets to go, and he creates a glowing green spider as his construct. He gives it a body of 1, a strength of 1, and he puts the rest into dexterity so that the glowing green spider is nimble enough to do what he made it to do. So the Force Spider then steals that piece of kryptonite and runs away with it. So now we are back to ZHAVAM. Since he was hunting Killfrost, he tries to hit him, but as previously stated, Killfrost is out of phase with his surroundings, so that attack fails. And since ZHAVAM had to move to get there, that means he used an automatic action. So that keeps him from substituting his 2 automatic actions for 1 more dice action, which would be a second attack, right? So ZHAVAM spends his final remaining automatic action just shouting about how great he is and how the heroes are all going to be crushed under his heel, yada, yada, yada. So then it's Superman's turn, and the Man of Steel throws that stupid belt into the sun where it is destroyed. Then Superman flies back to the space station where ZHAVAM is, and Superman has one last action, so he punches his enemy right in the Achilles heel. Superman gets a 4 and a 10, which hits. He actually needed a 13 or better to hit. So under these specific circumstances, that means Superman did not earn any column shifts. Still, we then look at his strength of 50 versus ZHAVAM's body of 28. And we see that Superman did 22 points of damage. On the Flash's turn, he used super speed to rebuild this hole that ZHAVAM made when he crashed in here. We said that there was a special force field that had been automatically erected to keep in air, even though characters had been flying in and out through that hole. Our inspiration for that was the force field in the cargo bay of the Enterprise D, which keeps in air but lets shuttlecrafts come and go as they please. Anyways, so now it is the turn of the Martian Manhunter. Again, he tries a mind blast, but again, he does not roll high enough for that to do any good. Aquaman then goes next, and just like the last time, he doesn't roll what he needs to roll to actually land a hit. Batman is still using first aid, so next up is Green Lantern, whose Force Spider morphs into a little rocket ship. It carries the kryptonite as far away from here as it can. So now we are back to ZHAVAM. He rolls a 1 and a 3, missing Superman, then tries again, rolling a 6 and a 7, which hits this time, and earns 2 column shifts of extra damage. So Superman's body drops from 40 to 26. Then it's back to Superman, who stomps on ZHAVAM's one vulnerable spot. Superman rolls a 7 and a 9, which hits, earning 1 column shift. ZHAVAM takes 24 points of knockout damage, and the villain is down for the count. Which brings us to our epilogue. Batman revives Killfrost, and everybody has a talk. Killfrost finds out exactly how much time has passed, while the Green Lantern subs the Omni power of his power ring for the Detect power. By doing this, the heroes discover that if ZHAVAM is dunked in the waters of the River Styx, he will lose his powers forever. So Killfrost offers to do that. The heroes let him, since this all started with him. They understand how he would want to be the one to finish it. And in their minds, ZHAVAM having to live as a mere mortal in Skartaris sounds like a good idea. So Killfrost throws ZHAVAM over his shoulder and flies back towards the Hollow Earth. And that was it for this adventure. After that, we played a game with other members of the Round Table who were Marvel characters. But instead of putting that here, I'm going to save that for the next video. If you liked today's adventure, be sure to smash like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. And from all of us here at the longest running superhero role-playing game on Earth, we hope you have a good one, and we'll see you in the next adventure. Bye.